All right, YouTube. There we go. All right, we are live in 5, 4, 3. Hey, everybody, and welcome to today's Mobility, Tech, and Connectivity Show. This is our live weekly webcast on how we are connected and the way we get around. I'm Ryan Girardi. Thank you for joining us. Today's Wednesday, July the 22nd, 2020. Happy Hump Day. Happy Hammock Day. Today is Hammock Day, and I'm telling you, a hammock sounds really nice. So happy Hammock Day to all our hammock aficionados that are out there and hammock users. Today is your day. Thank you for joining us today. I just mentioned the date, so I don't need to redo that. But today we have our 2-minute drill down debate series. It's about a 30-minute debate. We got a handful of topics. We're going to be looking at new findings about N95 respirator masks. What's that all about? A new autonomous robot to disinfect airports, which is pretty cool. Will Americans drive less in the future? That's the main talking point that we're going to focus on today, and why that matters. And then this just out, a new conservative movie studio is in the formation to counter the far left Hollywood culture that's out there. That's all slated today. I got Terry Lancaster and Stephanie Robbins back here to participate in our 2-minute drill down, where we all have 2 minutes to put in our 2 cents from topic to topic. And I have Jay, our co-host, up here as well. We'll be recapping his show from Auto Transport Intel last night. This show is recorded. As you know, it's streamed live here on YouTube. Little announcement. We have switched the YouTube channel that we're streaming on. So we now stream to the Auto Converse YouTube channel. If you're not already subscribed there, take a moment to do so now, because once this live stream ends, the recording is unavailable. And even though the recording isn't as fun and exciting as the live show itself, at least you can, move around within that video. Because what I do after the video is I go in and I leave clickable time markers in the comments so that you can move around within the video and just catch the parts that you like. And as an alternative, you can catch these shows at portions of them and highlights of them on the Auto Converse podcast. So if you're not tuned into the podcast yet, then be sure to do that. Crazy world today. Jay, I'd love to get you on here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and give you a chance to hop in here. What's up, my friend?
Check. Let's see here. Oh, here I am. How you doing?
Yeah, I see you. I'm pretty good. You're looking nice and bright blue today. That's
Thanks,
a new
man.
look for you.
All right. Well, awesome. I appreciate it. I try to get ready for the show and be bright blue. And so our screens are matching and we've got a lot of blue, and yeah, who knew that would be a topic?
I tend to like black for my
I like black. Actually, I wear a lot of black t-shirts. That's why actually I like blue and I like black. I wear a lot of that. And I know the audience is just loving this information.
Blue is a great color. And this is Jay's idea, by the way, for me and him to have matching backgrounds. Jay does a show every Tuesday night, which means last night. Tuesday night's live on Auto Transport Intel. Hey, let me tell you,
Thanks,
I was so ready to tune in. And then I got a really important phone call literally at like 5 minutes till you started.
It happens.
And I was like, oh no. So I missed literally like the first half hour of the show, which is all your news items.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a great segment, actually.
So I got off the call and I went to your show, and I was able to go back and start watching, but the replay kept like interrupting, and then it just scooted me right to the live show, and everybody was talking Russian. So I was like, I don't even know what's going on right now. So I didn't get to see the news items, but pretty interesting show last night. You broke it into 2 segments. You had the transport fraud with the Russians on there. Were those guys from Russia? Like dialed in from Russia?
So one guy there's Serge. Serge is all 3 are from Russia and speak Russian. But Serge lives in America, is a transport driver. Dennis, I don't know what Dennis does. And Svatoslav, who was the source of the information, he's the one that he was the one in the situation where basically he was being treated like slave labor. And he didn't vandalize his truck, but he spray painted, or I don't know what he used, but he was driving around in a truck that said, "Help me, my company is committing crimes."
Oh, wow. And
Yeah,
here in the States, that happened.
Yeah, that was happening. That was happening here in the States, which is what Dennis was really speaking about, is that this kind of activity, this kind of criminal activity goes on. But, in the United States, we hope to not have that on a normal level, whereas in many countries, and like, I guess in Russia, you have a lot of that kind of going on. And I'm going to say something really weird, is that that video's been edited. You can't watch the interview now.
From last night?
I'm still recovering from, I just found that out about an hour ago.
It got edited like YouTube went in there and chopped it up, or
yes, it's gone. You can't watch it. I'm telling you, it's the weirdest thing. I've never seen anything like. I just found this out about an hour ago, and I'm still recovering from. Okay, that's weird. Like, and it's it's really weird. As I was watching some Alex Jones earlier today, and listening to him talk is so weird, because you're like, wow, I don't know anything about that crazy reality, and I'm now living, for the past hour, I've been living this kind of Alex Jones experience where somebody went in and cut out that whole interview. It's gone.
God, I wonder what the motivation for that is.
Right? So who did it and why?
Like, something has to detect that there's a problem as far as its platform goes, then find the issue. I mean, but the whole recording's gone. It's not
the whole recording is gone.
Wow.
The first hour, about hour and a quarter of last night's show is gone, and it's been edited down to a 2-hour segment. It's exactly 2 hours long now. The original show was like 3 1/4, so an hour and a quarter's gone. It's a 2-hour show, and when you go to watch last night's show, it jumps to right before we do the wheel of topics.
So somebody at YouTube. God, I don't even know where to start.
You see what I'm saying? Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like whoa.
What's the big deal?
Whoa. Like, yeah.
Well, as we know, a lot of weird stuff going on.
Yeah.
I bring up Anomaly once in a while. He was reporting on something that was peculiar, which is that the CDC was, and I don't think they are anymore, was counting positive coronavirus antibody test results into the positive cases of COVID. And to point out the problem with that is, and I find this peculiar, apparently the antibody testing was for coronavirus antibodies. And if you don't know, folks, COVID is a strain of coronavirus. Coronavirus is a common cold virus that we all get and all carry at multiple times in our lives. COVID is a unique strand. That's the new strand. That's coronavirus, I think, in general is highly contagious. COVID itself just happens to be bad for a very small percentage of people. But how weird is that, Jay, that they were including positive antibody test results in the test results? I mean, we're talking 20-30% of test results could just be antibody test results.
Well, and here's the thing. And if you go back and watch past shows, I remain consistent, even in this new 1 hour of craziness landscape. And that is that I pretty much thought the world did work this way, in that things are skewed by people you either realize or don't realize. Not everything is as you think it will be, should be, or is going to be. and statistics around coronavirus, we're right to question some of it because not everything is as it appears.
Well, it's known. Statistics, numbers can all be patched together to tell a narrative, and so can information and stories. I mean, look at what's his name, Michael Moore for documentaries, right? Like, he's very effective at telling whatever story he wants to tell you, and very convincingly.
Well, and that might explain why many people want to get into media, because if you can edit the information and tell the story your way, that's a powerful tool.
Yes, it is. Well, listen, let's get Terry and Stephanie up here. If you guys want to pop on your cameras, because one thing we don't do here is tell the story our way. We just put the information out there and then let fabulous people like Terry and Stephanie put their perspective in. So Terry, Stephanie, welcome back to the Mobility Tech and Connectivity.
Hey.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Now Stephanie was with us back in May to help us kick off this 2-minute drill down experience. We had Stephanie and Joe Webb. It was an awesome time together. Joe was just back on a couple of weeks ago. So Stephanie, it's good to have you back here.
Thank you.
And Terry's a very regular face here as well. I think we did a webinar last week on social selling, and Terry's been on the MTC show numerous times, and he's been on the 2-minute drill down before as well. So
I ain't new.
Here we go.
Hey.
So I wanted to open things up. So Stephanie is in Southern California. She's in quote unquote self-quarantine because she attended a wedding and somebody came out positive there. So I mean, it's right on your front door, right, Stephanie? It's right on your
Yes.
But what do you think of this meme? A virus so dangerous that you have to be tested just to find out if you maybe even had it.
That's very true. I mean, I was just talking to the doctor on Monday of what are my chances, and they said, don't get tested if you don't have any symptoms. And I'm 7 days in and no symptoms. So,
and for all you know, you could be carrying the virus for all you know.
For all I know. So.
And that's going to play right into one of the things we're going to get into, which is face masks and social distancing. And all that. I thought this one was funny too. I feel like the U.S. has become the laughingstock of the world in a lot of ways. Does anyone else sense that?
Yeah.
I don't think about that. Like, I've heard that before. Like, we're the laughingstock. I don't know. I don't really think about that.
No, it just feels that way. It's like you look at charts and graphs, and it's like, oh, the U.S. is just, everything's going wrong with the U.S.
Well, we're banned from every country, so we can't go anywhere outside the U.S. at this point.
So are you suggesting that other countries are fine and laughing at the U.S. and we're the only ones with coronavirus?
I'm not suggesting that. I'm not suggesting that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. Laughingstock. You've heard that before, right? That we're the laughingstock.
That's my sense. It's just like, it's like the whole world is just looking at the U.S. going, that place is messed up, which there's some truth to that too.
Everybody wants to go to Hollywood.
But they can't.
Well, right. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to know what Hollywood looks like. What's going on in Portland? Like every day I wake up, it's like Portland's just become this whole other planet or something. Terry, do you know what's going on in Portland?
Masked men abducting citizens and throwing them in the back of vans. That's what I hear. So I don't know, but it looks like an episode of Homeland from everything I'm reading. So
yeah, it does.
Or Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah. Right. Everything is Handmaid's Tale now. Yeah. I know, right?
That's
crazy.
Well, here's some perspective for you. Apparently, over 1,000 people assembled in front of one of the federal buildings there. Just blanked on it, but they were, protesting in front of the federal building, trying to light it on fire, basically trying to abolish this. And of course, the federal government's going to send people there. It's in the. I don't know if it's in the Constitution, but it's within the federal government's right to protect its property.
Did you see the video of police defending a Columbus statue and all the stuff being thrown at them? And what is going on out there? I can't make sense of what's happening. Maybe that's what you mean by laughingstock. Like, I guess, are other countries having total revolts? Maybe not.
I don't think so. No, this is distinctly us.
Okay, so then that would make us a laughingstock. Or
Yeah.
are they? I mean, are they laughing at us? Are they sad for us? What is going on? What is going to happen? Are we gonna just all slide into the ocean with all these headless statues? I mean, I don't understand. What happened to America, man?
I know, man. It's just like, you're right. It's like sliding off the ocean. So let's get in. I'm going to lay out the first debate. So
anyways, back to selling cars.
I plead the fifth.
All right. Face masks have come up a lot. I have a funny story to share about face masks. Not funny, but something I'd like to share. But health experts are now discouraging people from wearing N95 respirator masks. Those are the ones with an actual ventilator to exhale. And their concern is that while the air that you breathe in gets filtered, the air that you breathe out is not filtered because it's your exhale, which I'm pretty sure you're going to exhale anyway. But the caveat is that because of the ventilator, you're actually projecting your exhale farther. So naturally, and I studied a little bit about this, naturally with no face mask wearing, your exhale will go to about 6 to 8 feet. So let's just say 10 to be really generous, right? Your exhale will float around 6 to 8 to 10 feet, probably for a couple of minutes. People can walk in, right? The surgical masks and face coverings reduce that exhale range to about 2 feet, maybe 3 at the most. But the exhale ventilator on the N95 mask can get, well, they say the studies they've done could project that as far as 12 feet or more. And so there's crackdown on it. Terry, I want to hear your response to this one.
Well, so first of all, I don't think this is new news. I've been reading about the respirators and masks for months now, and we've known, at least I've known. So I assume other reasonable people who read have known that that's not a good thing, and it only makes sense because the purpose of the mask is to filter your exhale. That's why we're supposed to be wearing the mask, to filter what we're sending out into the world. And the respirators do exactly the opposite. They filter what's coming in, and then they allow you to exhale freely so that it goes out. But I think this goes to the point of what we were just talking about, why America is a laughingstock, or is America a laughingstock. I think one of the big problems, and I watch this and watch my Facebook feed and watch when I'm just talking to other reasonable human beings, we seem to have a lot of trouble understanding as a people that we're lacking in empathy. The entire point of wearing a mask isn't to protect ourselves. It's to protect everyone else. And we don't seem to be having the empathy that allows people, for the most part, to understand that the point of the mask isn't self-protection. The point of the mask is protection for others. It was funny when all this first started going on, I started looking to see why things were not quite as bad in South Korea and Japan and even in China and other countries. Why is Asia not getting hit like this? And that's because they are accustomed to wearing masks for the preservation of others. So a month before the CDC changed their guidelines, I bought a bunch of masks off Amazon because I told my wife, I said, they're going to change the guidelines. This has to change because this is how it's being done everywhere else. But that the entire thing is, and my daughter's a psychology major and student at school, and she's been studying this, that other culture, so many other cultures are other focused, and our Western culture is so completely individually focused. I don't even think people can understand that the point of the mask isn't to protect ourselves. Everyone's being called afraid and a chicken and cowering in fear because they're wearing a mask. People don't even understand the point of mask isn't to protect me, is to protect those around me. And I think that's what's getting laughed at about America.
It's a good argument. I can't wait to respond, but Stephanie, you're up.
Yeah. Well, look, everyone should be wearing masks, whether, the N95, it's hard to say which are the best masks to use. I know from my perspective, the N95 is not going to be the mask that I use. I was joking with a girlfriend, not even joking, when this first started, that we should go into the mask business to find a mask that is the most effective and that the most fashionable, so that more people are willing to wear it to protect others. And it's interesting that it's become a debate of your rights versus a debate of what is right. So, I'm all for masks. I think, they're more readily available now. You can buy them at Target. You can buy them at even the local 7-Eleven. So there's no excuse really about not wearing one other than to just be selfish, is my opinion.
Jay, what are your thoughts?
No, it's she makes a good point. It really is, and both Terry also said this too, is that it's really about protecting other people. I don't understand why anybody's throwing a fit in a store because they're told they have to put one on. Actually, I don't get that. I don't like wearing it. It's uncomfortable. But, I don't know. Aren't we used to, we've had other rules, like you stop at a red light and, like, I don't get it. Like, why all the animosity? And it makes me think of that snowflake term that people like to throw around. If you're acting like that, I think you're the snowflake.
Right.
Why throw a fit over having to put a mask on? Now, I also understand, like, belief and, I don't know. I don't want to wear it, or freedom of what, but it's about safety and it's about thinking about other people. So it's kind of a no-brainer.
If we ever want to get back to normal, why not just wear a mask? And hopefully it'll help. I mean, we've tried everything else at this point.
But let me ask you this. You say if we want to get back to normal, okay? In Asia, particularly I think Japan, but also probably in China, it has been very common for many years for them to walk around in public wearing masks. Is that how we want to spend the rest of our existence? Not just the rest of our lives, but is that, were we designed to wear a mask? No, I don't feel like we should have to count on wearing a mask for the rest of our lives.
I don't believe we are. I believe my mom always told me this too shall pass, right? This is something. I think we all were hoping by July that this would be over and we'd be back to normal. Now we're seeing spikes because I think people that quarantined were just, ready to get back out there. And now we've gone completely to the other side. So we've got to find a place in the middle just to control the outbreak. And then hopefully, we'll be back to normal. I don't know. I'm saying 2023 at this point, but
doesn't Asia, who I just said is accustomed to wearing masks in public for many years, doesn't that prove you wrong in the sense that maybe this is just the way it's going to be for the rest of our lives? If that's how it is in Asia, why would that not be the case all around the world? And is that where we want to be?
having another spike in COVID like we are?
No, I think the reason that they're common in Asia is because the government has the world convinced that they need to constantly protect themselves.
Well, and I thought some of that was
I see that as a big problem.
Don't they have pollution issues? And they also
do.
It's another reason.
Well, it started with the other viruses with SARS and the bird flu or whatever that happened in Asia 10, 20 years ago. That's when they started wearing them. But I don't think it's a government thing that's forcing them to wear a mask.
It's a cultural thing.
It's a cultural thing that they want to wear a mask because they want to protect the hive. What's good for the hive is good for the bee. And they want to protect each other. They are focused on the community instead of Terry's rights. This is uncomfortable. I shouldn't wear it. This makes me look funny. I feel funny, so I shouldn't wear it. They're more concerned with protecting the
then I think what you just said is that they're doing it because they want to, and they want to protect the hive. It should apply in this case too. My argument is that I'm with you. I don't mind being required to wear a face mask temporarily if it helps. But here's what I wanted to share because it's not helping. I was at Bass Pro with my two sons over the weekend, and it was pretty busy. And we're in an aisle that was probably 12 feet in length. And there was a man there with his family, I think 2 kids and a wife. They all had masks on in the aisle, but he had his mask down.
Right.
So it was for show. Okay.
Yeah.
So I instead of going in the aisle, I said to my kids, hey, let's wait till the people clear out. And I stood right in front of the aisle, clearly waiting. Guess what happened? Another family comes into the aisle, a bigger family, all wearing masks. So now there's like 10 people in this aisle. Face masks accomplish nothing when you have 10 people smashed into an aisle. That's why we need social distancing. Okay. So the whole point of wearing face masks got completely thrown out the window in this one instance. And meanwhile, I'm like telling my kids, hey guys, let's wait till the aisle clears out. And then it would clear out and we'd go in, and guess what? People would bombard the aisle and I'd say, get out of the aisle. So this is why we're in the situation, because if we can't take responsibility for our immediate surroundings, in this case, social distancing, it's all for naught. And the face masks accomplish nothing.
Well, I think that goes back to the empathy point.
Yeah. I don't think anyone knows what's right and what's wrong and what we should be doing and shouldn't be doing to control this thing. Every day it's different. I think everyone's just picking something out of a hat and say, okay, today we are going to wear masks. Tomorrow we are going to, only allow, I don't know what's going to be next, but it's just, we're in a weird time.
I think that's very fair that no one knows what's going on, including our government officials. But it's all a guessing game.
Your points about empathy and just social awareness and thinking about other people, I don't know. I don't know if we're ever going to be able to teach people how to practice that.
Right.
We got to build it into our culture. We got to build it into our culture.
I don't think we're going to change our culture anytime.
And that's what I was thinking. And it goes into the ideology of the foundation of our culture. This, individual, cowboy, renegade.
That's who we are. That's who we are. Who are you to tell us that we have to, this is who we are. And yeah, it's not going to change overnight. All right, let's go to the next topic.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Business travel has been decimated by the pandemic. We all know that. And people only go back to flying if they think that crowded airports are truly safe again. So Pratt & Miller has developed an autonomous robot to disinfect airports. They call it the LAAD, Large Area Autonomous Disinfecting Vehicle. It uses electrostatic sprayer to spread disinfectant in the air and on surfaces that people will touch, and its sensors make sure that it completes its coverage. It's been tested at an airport in Grand Rapids, and it can be used at convention centers, shopping centers, stadiums, and other large areas. So Stephanie, the LAAD, is this the answer to our prayers, or do we still need a vaccine?
We need both. I mean, obviously, I just got off a plane. I'll tell you, I'm more comfortable flying on an airplane right now than I am going to the grocery store. I mean, all the precautions that they take, especially on Delta, to make me feel safe and secure, has limited all of my concerns on catching the corona through an airport.
That's awesome.
I think more so, I'm more scared to go into a restaurant because in Virginia Beach, we're hearing about all these COVID cases popping up in restaurants. And so now, going to a restaurant is a concern. Like every day there's something new. And at some point, I think I said this in the last time, it's risk versus reward, right? Sometimes you're just going to have to put yourself out there. Like the meme showed before, 99% of people do not die. Not to say that I think that 1% of people should die. I'm just saying at some point, we're going to have to, take that risk and get ourselves out there. As far as the robot's concerned, I'm all for it. It just helps in that checklist of things that make me more confident and secure in going to the airport, going to the grocery store, going to a car dealership, knowing that they have safety, procedures in place just helps me feel more better and less risk to going into those places.
And probably less prone to error too.
Right.
Terry, what's your thoughts on the robot?
It's exactly what Stephanie said. The robot is all about making people feel comfortable. It's a nice public relations ploy. Boom. It's the same reason car dealers have in their commercials that, they show pictures of people walking around, polishing the mirrors and screaming the surfaces. One, it's the law, but it probably doesn't do a lot of good. Everything changes. And as we've come to learn more about the coronavirus, we understand, or at least we think we understand, that it is mostly airborne. It is mostly through close, nearby, airborne particles from people we're in direct proximity to. It doesn't actually exist that long on surfaces. It's not being transmitted mostly from hand to hand or hand to mouth or hand to counter or from the floorboard at the airport. It's mostly airborne. So my fear about airports and my fear about airplane isn't that I'm going to get it touching a banister or a handrail or something. I've actually over the last couple of years tried to break myself of the habit of touching things in an airport. I keep my hands in my pockets anyway. But I'm more concerned about the people in the airport, people packed in there together doing the thing. And I understand Delta is one of the few, I think, that is actually keeping all their middle seats open right now. Is that right, Stephanie?
Yep. And in first class, you're only one person per.
So everyone else is packing people in there on like they're sardines, like they've always done. And, to hell with how people are going to be breathing on each other. I'm much more concerned about the people around me than what the robot can scrape up. So that's a public relations ploy. It gets people talking about it and makes everybody feel better. Probably doesn't do a whole lot of good.
Maybe the robot can just spray you down as you walk
There you
into like you put your arms out and you turn around and you get fully disinfected.
That's what I was kind of thinking about. I think that's where it's going to get to, where the robots are interacting with the humans in ways I don't even know what that'll be like.
I read about a robot that cut hair. I actually heard on the radio a robot that cut hair.
Serve food, clean you, cut your hair.
Jetsons.
Right?
Here we go.
Robot that cuts hair. That takes the fun out of getting a haircut.
Yeah, YouTube it. It was a YouTube video. A robot that cuts hair.
All right, let's get into the good stuff.
Car, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's for sure.
A robot sells you a car
every day.
Who needs a robot when you have Carvana?
There you go. And there's your ad. That's good.
Oh, I have no stock in that.
Put that on the mask.
Yes.
All right. All right. So let's get into a good topic, the main theme for today. So as we know, working from home and online shopping have become much more commonplace. And guess what? That's going to reduce driving. In fact, a new study suggests that it will reduce driving in the U.S. by up to 270 billion miles per year. This is a study conducted by KPMG International, and it finds that this cocoon culture is not going away, even if a vaccine is made widely available. The study finds that online retail and remote work is going to hurt auto sales, and that a vaccine, like I just said, won't change habits. Stephanie, are you surprised by this?
Not at all. I mean, we saw it coming as an industry anyway, right? With the addition of subscription models, Uber, ways like that. I think the automotive industry was going to get impacted anyway. Do I think that working from home has that impact? No, I think people are traveling less. They're not going to take public transportation like they used to. So they're going to need a car. People are going to be buying cars that didn't need a car before. And I think they still need cars to do everyday things like go to the grocery store and other things like that. I think from an OEM perspective, they learned long ago that they needed to start diversifying. They're looking at self-driving vehicles, but more than that, you have Ford who, invested in the Spin, which is like the competitor to Lime and Bird. You have, Uber investing in Lime. You had the OEMs, going in and looking at other ways to make money through mobility than just the car. So how does that impact dealerships? I don't know. I'm very optimistic that I think the numbers are going to definitely be hurt over the next 2 years, but I think that we'll find that norm again. It might not be 17 million. It might be 15 million. So we'll have to have a reduction, from the automotive space, but I think there'll be a growth in other areas that'll keep us strong and thriving.
Okay. Terry, you have thoughts on that?
Well, I think that it's maybe not going to necessarily impact people needing cars. People are still going to need cars. And we talked about this the last time I was on the show. People are going to need cars because people are going to be much less hesitant to get on the snot bus with everybody else coughing and sneezing all over them. So you've got, people are still going to need the cars. The question is, how much are they going to be driving them? Since all this is going on, my wife and I and 3 daughters, we got 5 cars sitting out in the driveway. I've got a lease that I'm 10,000 miles under the mileage on it because I haven't driven it hardly at all since March to go to the grocery store. And I didn't work from home. I mean, I didn't have a daily commute anyway. I've always worked from home. People I've talked to are expecting one of the biggest impacts from all this to be from commercial real estate, because people are more productive at home and companies are realizing that. So the work at home effort isn't going to go away. So people are going to be driving less. So it's not a question of do they need cars, but do you need 5 cars? Do you need 5 cars sitting out in the driveway when everybody's home all the time anyway? Can't we reduce so the average household now has, a couple of 3 cars? Maybe going forward, the average household is going to need 1 or 2 cars. And this isn't new. This is what's been going on. I had a conversation with someone in Nashville. They just built this huge convention center in Nashville just a few years ago with enormous parking capabilities. And almost immediately after it was constructed, they put a task force in to start figuring out what to do with all the excess parking space, because they're assuming they're not going to need as much parking space in the future. So it's definitely going to impact how many cars people have, how often do they drive them. And just like the article said, it's going to have a huge impact on the service, because if you're not driving the cars as much, they're not wearing out as fast, they don't need to be repaired as often. And then you throw electrical vehicles in their mix. I think the biggest concern comes from the service side of things as much as anything.
That's a good point. And here's what the study points out, that the change in habits could result in about 1 million fewer new cars and trucks annually. And this year specifically, forecasts are down as low as 13 million. What's 13 out of 17 million, 4 million? That's about 20%. Yeah, it's about 25% reduction. You say it's almost 30%. Okay. Yeah. Which, I mean, at this stage, I think we have a pretty good pulse on forecasts. So, Jay, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, everything's changing, right? And so dealerships, yeah, cars, people, you have to have your own vehicle to get around. I keep thinking of, when you talk about dealerships, I think about carriers. The carrier marketplace is changing too. We're still going to have trucking. We're going to still have drivers and carriers. But just as you talked about, dealer salespeople changing their methodologies, I see that also happening with drivers. As autonomous trucking keeps being brought up, it's never going to go away. There's going to be more autonomous trucking that evolves over time. It's just the way the world is going. So as that happens, the driver's job will evolve as well. So you won't be the same driver you were. You won't be the same car salesman you were. We already know, even car selling, you have to have a better handle on technology and using technology to show a vehicle, or whether it's the desking or the F&I, and you've got to now be the full package with the customer. So as these roles change, we still have the jobs and the need, but they're changing, and maybe a couple chairs will be missing when the music stops. But these businesses will still exist. They're just evolving quickly.
Yeah, we got a reduction on one side just in vehicle sales, but Terry, you made a good point. Because of the reduced driving, that could reduce service, which is funny because 6 months ago, for 6 months ago, like for the past year, one thing I've been emphasizing is that with the rise and increase in rideshare and autonomous vehicles are going to be on the road more often, longer periods of time, putting on more miles, which is going to increase the need for service and repair. But now that I think ride sharing has been drastically reduced.
Yeah, it's really weird what's happened.
Have you tried to get an Uber lately?
No, actually.
Not available.
Wow.
Just not even available? Like when you were in Atlanta, you couldn't get an Uber? Wow.
Not available.
That is so weird, too, because it was just exploding.
Yep.
It really was, wasn't it?
I mean, it was off the charts. There there were so many drivers and people getting in that I think drivers were complaining about the competition of just being a driver.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And rental cars are not easy to find either. I mean, I was traveling last week trying to get from, South Georgia to North Georgia was almost impossible.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell us more about that experience. Like you.
I mean, if I tried to rent a car, astronomical prices, like
Really?
$150 a day for a compact car. Trying to get an Uber, typically it would run from where I was going maybe $50 to $60, $200 when I tried to book it at the time. Luckily, I was able, my friend had an Uber driver and come get me and take me back on Sunday because she knew I was having such a hard time finding transportation to her house. But I was curious, and so I looked up what a rental car would cost. I looked up what it would cost to take an Uber once I got to the airport, and man, I'm lucky that I had a car on standby.
Jay, do you think the
Wow.
pricing's high because of supply? Because there's just not that many vehicles available? Because we know the demand is drastically, reduced.
Well, that's what I was actually trying to figure that out. Why is that? Is it because they're worried about cars not being clean enough? Were not enough people working? Why is that? Why was it so hard to get a car?
I wonder if it's inventory. They're not selling off their inventory because they don't think that it's going to come back and they're going to need as much inventory. Because at one point I even called Hertz and said, hey, I'm a gold member. I rent from you once or twice a month. Is there any way I can get a vehicle? And they had nothing.
They're like, we're going bankrupt. We're trying to sell them all.
I said, how about Thrifty? I said, how about Thrifty?
Yeah.
And they looked at Thrifty.
I thought there were cars sitting around. That's why
So did I.
That's why I'm trying to
figure. They would be begging for my business.
That's what I'm, and I mean, I just read an article. There were a lot of discounts, like, please rent from us, half off. Like, so I don't actually understand.
Maybe in Atlanta airport. I don't know what's going on, but that was my experience in Atlanta.
Could have been regional, but that is interesting because that's
go online.
opposite.
I'm curious. Go online and do a search for a rental car. And
it'd be like if you called Vegas right now. Hey, can I get a room? And they're like, nope, we're totally booked.
Yeah.
Could be.
Well, how?
Oh, you can have your own floor.
Right.
So I just checked Uber and I can get 3 Ubers to the Nashville airport for about the same price I always pay to get to the Nashville airport. So
that's what you think, but look on the black thing and does it say no cars available? Because I booked an Uber. Yeah. I can book an Uber.
Oh yeah, but then they don't show up.
But then it spins and spins and spins and spins trying to find a vehicle, and you end up canceling the ride. Or on Uber, they'll just say no cars available.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was my experience this weekend. So who knows? Different parts of the country could be different. But in Virginia Beach and Atlanta, I can't find an Uber or a Lyft.
So is the consensus, Americans are going to be driving a lot less indefinitely. Is that the consensus? That's really going to be that way?
That's what I think for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't feel like I'm driving any less personally than I was before.
I've always worked from home. So, I mean, I lease vehicles because I don't need the mileage. So there might be other ways that people are buying cars because, they can afford a lease versus buying outright. So maybe new cars will get a spike there. But I mean, again, like I said, this too shall pass, right? I believe in 2 years, it'll be different, but people will somewhat be back to normal, going to their kids' school functions, driving to colleges.
I agree.
Going in 5 different directions, which is going to require. Now, the parents might be working from home, and the parents might decide I don't need but one vehicle as a family. Mm-hmm. But I like to have my independence. And, if I didn't have a vehicle and my husband was somewhere, I will always have 2 vehicles, whether I'm working from home and he is too, or.
How many vehicles you got, Terry? Because you got you got a lot of family there.
Well, I do. Well, actually, during all this, I had one daughter that moved out. So we had 6 vehicles. We had 6 vehicles because when we bought the last one, we had an old junker Cherokee that I didn't sell just to keep the old junker around. Then I had a daughter move out. So we have 4 people living in the house now, and 5 vehicles sitting in the
Do
driveway.
you imagine telling your daughter you're going to take her vehicle away and
Yeah.
that y'all are going to share vehicles?
Well, I mean, yeah, yes, I can. Well, like I said, my daughters are basically grown now, so
Right.
you want a car, good, go get you one. That's all on you. But yeah, I mean, actually, my daughters did that anyway. I had twin daughters in high school. They got one car. Here's your one car. You two work it out.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think I want to believe that things will go back to a level of normal. And I do believe that. But right now it's so hard to see because everything is so crazy.
Right.
But
lot of
this too shall pass. I agree with you. That's right.
And the cup's half full.
All things do pass.
Right.
Well, they definitely change.
They change, but there's no guarantee of what they're going to look like. I don't think the new normal is going to look like the old normal. I have zero idea what it's going to look like, but it's going to be different. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah. I think everyone.
Well, just look at like after 9/11, no one was ever going to fly again. And, right back, if not thriving, right before all of this happened. So it's going to come back. After 2009, no one thought they'd be able to, everyone's foreclosing on houses, never thought they'd be able to own a house again. Now people you can't find a house because mortgage rates are so low.
Right.
Well, listen, to honor our word, want to keep this debate ending here at this point. So I want to just say thank you to both of you for participating. It's great to hear your thoughts and the different perspectives and contrast on issues. So Stephanie, Terry, thank you very much for being here and doing this.
Thanks for having me, Ryan. Jay, good to see you, buddy.
Thank you. Good seeing you guys too. Yeah.
Bye, guys.
So we're going to go ahead and let Terry and Stephanie go, just because Jay and I have let the show go on a little bit too long in the past. So we're trying to commit to our panelists and respect their time. And we want to keep this also for ourselves under an hour for you. But I got one last topic that we had slated. Yeah. Ty, you're going to love this. You're going to love this. What is it? Let me put it in the chat here. Conservative movie studio is being created to count on the far left. Actor Antonio Sabato Jr., who's most remembered for his role in General Hospital and I think one other
I don't remember him.
Daytime soap. He ran for Congress at one point, but he got blacklisted from Hollywood, and he is fighting back, and he's mobilizing to put together a conservative movie studio. He says the gap between the left coast and the rest of our country has grown bigger than the Grand Canyon. Is this news to you, Jay, or did you see that?
So what so many thoughts. Hollywood is such a strange thing. So many people want to be a part of Hollywood. And this includes me. I dropped everything. I moved there. I did that thing. And, where I worked on film sets for several years, and it's really hard. There is no ladder up. So I understand feeling like Hollywood can be your enemy. Okay. I understand that. And I think that's where he ended up. And I don't know his story, and everybody's story is different. And I'm sorry that happened to him. But what I don't understand is this belief that Hollywood controls everything. And some of the headlines that you read about Hollywood executives border on bizarre, but maybe it's true. I have no idea. But here's my point. A conservative movie studio is probably going to turn out crap. It's not that conservative ideals are bad or wrong. But it doesn't make for great movie making to think that we already talked about this. Remember we talked about Left Behind? That movie was terrible. Because
really
when
was.
you have such an agenda that you get in the way of your own script and the director's vision, etc. Plus, this guy said, did you read this? This guy said that there hasn't been a good movie since like American Sniper or something. That is so ridiculous, man. I actually went to the Academy Award for Best Picture page, and there's been so many good movies lately that I haven't even seen or I've seen parts of. Dude, Ford versus Ferrari, that movie is amazing, and those are real people. This guy, I don't know what he's talking about, and I hate talk that's so divisive about the libs and the conservatives. Oh, God, I hate that stupid talk.
Well, I think, and I'm not speaking, I'm not interpreting Sabato, right? And what he said, that no good movie's been made, I mean, that's obviously his opinion, which he's entitled to. But I think the pressing issue is that you're being blacklisted in Hollywood because of your political viewpoint. If you come out publicly against the status quo of Hollywood, you can't get a job. You can't get a new gig just for that. So it's probably less. I mean, there is a risk, like you said, they can end up just making a bunch of crappy, conservative movies. But hopefully that's not the point. Hopefully the point is to continue to make movies. Just you're not going to be blacklisted because of where you stand politically.
Well, and I understand that thought, but that's not. I don't think that's what's going to happen. Listen, this idea that I don't understand why good movies are all like liberal Democrat. I do not understand it. Fox News is a conservative production company, okay? That's all conservative information. And it's quality. So Fox News proves that you can make conservative quality production, but when you have some of the individual hosts like Mark Levin that are conservative tools and it's garbage, I think that's what's going to happen with this movie studio idea. If they're planning on making conservative biased movies, they're going to suck. And dude, you don't go into a movie thinking I'm going to put out a message. Forget the plot, forget the script. We're going to put out a message. That's how you make garbage. That's why Full House is garbage. It's just, listen, man, you can't control where a story goes. A good story is a good story. Mm-hmm. You don't go into a good story saying, I'm going to make a liberal story or a conservative story. You go into it saying, I'm going to make a good story. I'm going to tell a great story about people. And Green Book, I want to point this out. Green Book, this is on the list. This is Best Picture of 2018. You seen this movie?
No.
It's got negative human parts and positive human parts, and that's what makes a good story. So this idea that you can crank out positive conservative movies that are going to be good is a stupid idea.
If that's the goal, if that is the goal, then yeah,
it's not going to work.
I think you're probably right.
There we go.
But it depends. It all depends what
anything
on the quality of the product.
Anything is possible, but I'm going to put my money that these movies are going to blow and this studio is going to go out of business.
You heard it here first. Sabato Studios, movies are going to blow.
Oh, man. Thanks for letting me get that off my chest. Listen, man, I got to run. I got to go. I got to jump into a Zoom meeting. Thanks for another great show, man. This is
go to your Zoom meeting. I have a question for you, though. I have to ask. Okay. Is the cat out of the bag? I
don't know.
With AOC's tweet implying, I think you brought up last night on your show.
Yeah.
Is the cat out of the bag? Is that, I mean,
I'm so glad somebody found that tweet. I hope it's not manufactured because anything could be fake news. Even the fake newsers could be fake news. But I personally believe she would tweet that. And that is horrible. And that's who I think she is. But
Do you think that I mean, don't you agree that that sentiment, that attitude is widely embraced by a lot of people?
It is, and that's why we do. There is a part of me that does agree. We need to get past this election because, man, we just destroy ourselves over who's president and libs and conservatives. I can't believe how horrible we treat each other over just this idea that you're a lefty or a righty or a commie. It's crazy. We're just killing each other over just idiotic politics. It's unbelievable.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. All right. Jay, thank
Cool,
you.
Thank you.
Go
dude.
on, do your thing.
You guys have a good one. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you soon.
JW, everybody, host of Auto Transport Intel, which you can find out here on Auto Conversion on your own. Go to autoconversion.net and look under shows. You'll see ATI there, just like you'll see this show, which is this show's every Wednesday. Jay's show is every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central, and it's a great show. He does industry news items, and he's got panels and interviews, just like we do here, but all focused on the car shipping business. And like I said, the MTC show here we do every Wednesday at 2:00 Central, and our focus is on how we are connected and the way we get around. And what I'd like to show you is, so next week we have some folks from Roadster coming up. Is it next week? Yeah, I apologize. I don't have my notes in front of me. Got a good show lined up next week. We're all booked out actually for the remainder of summer. So we got a couple more debates lined up. We got some nice featured interviews. So make sure you're subscribed to the Auto Converse YouTube channel. I know it can be confusing, but what we've decided to do is move all of our mobility tech programming about the industry directly into Auto Converse. So that's all happening. That's actually already taken place. So thank you to Terry and to Stephanie. And what I wanted to mention here, I should share my screen. Give me a second here. I want to share my screen for everybody. What I wanted to mention here is that this show is, we use this to develop content that is engaging. That's part A. If you look at a lot of company blogs in B2B world, if you look at a lot of company blogs, most content that companies produce is very revolved around what they're doing, right? It's very revolved around their product, their technology. And that's great. You need that type of content. The problem is that if you're not interested in in that information right then and there, then you're not going to gain people's interest. And the reason we do this show is it allows us to focus on relationships and themes and narratives going on around the world that are industry related, and have conversations about them so that you can get to know us and the people that are involved with them. And you can leverage this program for your business. And that is why I'm sharing my screen. That's why you see here, get the B2B demand generation quick start guide. And what that's going to do, it's going to link you to this blog post here about the guide and about our 3-phase approach to demand generation, which is creating interest about your product, about your brand, creating awareness about it, but then moving into sparking interest and building trust, and ultimately building relationships, getting into commitment and loyalty and advocacy. And that demand guide is available for free, no strings attached. You don't even have to enter your information. This whole process is laid out here for you. And how does that tie in? Well, if you look at autoconversion.net, look under masterminds, and you'll see we have the Auto Retail Marketing Mastermind Program. This is a free program that we run here on Auto Conversion that you can participate in. We do weekly webcasts and panel discussions around things like the consumer experience, fixed ops, used cars, automotive sales, and video marketing. You name it. Every week we get in different focus, and you can leverage this platform in a very strategic fashion to benefit your colleagues, your employees, your customers, your strategic partners, and we will show you how to do that. So that's why we do what we do. If you're in the automotive business, whether you're on the retail side or on the B2B side, we have solutions for you, and that's why we do this show. And I appreciate each and every one of you tuning in, whether it's once a month or every couple of weeks, whatever that is, wherever you're tuning in, if it's live or after the fact. Really appreciate everyone putting the time in to get to know about us and what we do. I'm Ryan Girardi, and you are tuned into the Mobility Tech and Connectivity Show. I'm going to go ahead and call it a wrap. We'll be back here same time, same place next year. Enjoy the rest of your day, and of course, enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks, everyone, and take care.